Hey, Richest, you money maniacs, how would you like to be able to never pay taxes again for the rest of your life? I'm going to show you how. Let's get to it. Hey, Richest, you money maniacs, Tom coming at you in this video. I want to discuss exactly how you are going to be able to live the rest of your life and never pay taxes again. Isn't that wonderful? In fact, I promise you right now, I'm going to tell you the 3 things that I suggest immediately that will help you to be able to never pay taxes legally again. The first is a laser fund. The second is the Cashflow Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki. The third is Wealth Ability by Tom Wheelwright. He's Robert Kiyosaki's accountant. Now remember something about Robert Kiyosaki that a lot of people forget is not only is he a billionaire, but he pays $0 in taxes thanks to Tom Wheelwright and his good knowledge, strong knowledge of money and finance and how it works. Money, currency, and finance. So let's back up a second. The laser fund I've talked to you about many times. A tax-advantaged insurance contract that actually allows you to be able to make interest off of it every year tax-free, to pull money from the account without fines or fees and no taxes, tax-free, to be able to borrow from it and actually not pay any fees and pay no taxes, and also to use it as collateral to borrow other banks' monies or other people's monies to make more money for yourself. So basically you're doubling up, tripling up, quadrupling up, leveraging that collateral. So that's a topic I've talked about at length. If you have any questions about the laser fund and how it works in detail, go to liveabundant.com or watch Doug Andrews' series on here on YouTube called 3-Dimensional Wealth. So the next part, the Cashflow Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki, I've talked about before also. The Cashflow Quadrant is very simple. It's 4 quadrants. In the top left is the employee. In the bottom left is the self-employed. In the top right is a business owner. In the bottom right is the investor. So Robert Kiyosaki explains this in great detail, but I'm going to summarize it very quickly for you because this is absolutely vital for you to understand to be able to really get a good grasp of how it is possible to have so much money come into your life and not have to pay taxes on it. When you're an employee, you have money taken away from you first, and you get to spend what's left over in the form of taxes. So taxes are taken away and all kinds of fines for just being an employee. That's taken and you have no access to it. Maybe sometimes you get back a little bit at the end of the year on your tax return, and maybe you might get some money from Social Security when you grow old, if it doesn't go bankrupt first, because it is bankrupt right now. If the program doesn't stop, then you might get that money back. But even if you do, you know the older people right now who get it, and it's not near enough. They need other sources of revenue just to stay alive. A self-employed person in the bottom left box is actually someone who owns a business, but they don't really own a business. They're still an employee of their own business, because if they don't continue to work, the business stops making money. That's self-employed. Now that can be any business where the owner of the business has to show up every day, or the employees won't run the company without being told what to do. So it isn't just that single entrepreneur out there trying to build their website or trying to build a store. It's actually companies who have staff and have all kinds of different departments, but when the owner doesn't show up, people are not motivated to help grow the business on their own and do the job on their own. In fact, they look for every chance they can to skimp and not do the job. And so he has to be on top of them all the time because he hasn't trained them and he hasn't shaped the company properly. So that's a self-employed person, someone who owns a company, quote unquote, but if they don't show up, they don't make any money. And another thing about self-employed, while we're there, just for a second, the way the tax code is written now is self-employed people get taxed more than employees. When they first developed the independent contractor self-employed law, It was meant to give employees a break, to give entrepreneurs a tax break. But then so many people took advantage of it that the government said, oh, we're losing revenue here. We need to tax them harder because we're losing revenue. We don't have as many employees. So they changed the law, as they always do, to benefit themselves and make sure that they keep their pockets full. The business owner is someone who starts a business, a turnkey business, hires staff, gets the production going, kickstarts it, and then walks away. And a year later, they come back and the business is bigger than when they left it, because they built into the business inherent systems that make the staff excited and motivated to help grow the business bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. There are incentives. They take ownership of it. They are ennobling the effort. They believe in what they do and they love the company. They love their job and they're enthusiastic about working for this company. So the owner doesn't even have to show up. He's an absentee owner, which means that he just basically collects a check and he comes and checks in on them whenever he feels like it, or maybe never has to. That's a business or a business owner. The last one in the bottom right of the cash flow quadrant is the investor. And Robert suggests that that's the best place to be in, because then your money simply does all the work for you. And in his description, he explains how he involves himself in different financial situations that leverage the ability of him using a little bit of money to make a lot of money really fast without him having to do anything except some research. So that's the place that he suggests everyone should be in, or eventually learn to be in, because what that means is you are financially smart, you're financially intelligent, and you understand how everything works together. So the employee gets taxed first and spends what's left. The self-employed is able to write things off at the end of the year, but they gets taxed harder than an employee. The business owner gets taxed on whatever's left over at the end of the year. So that's something I forgot to mention. When you own a company, if you're a corporation, you can spend all the money and then have nothing left at the end of the year. And guess what you get taxed on? Whatever you have left at the end of the year. So if you have nothing left at the end of the year, there's nothing to be taxed on. The investor is the same thing. You can work the deal out so that you don't get taxed. Now, that's a very complicated part, and I can't go into all the details there, but I would strongly encourage you to look at Robert's book, the Cash Flow Quadrant. So we have the laser fund and the cash flow quadrant, and now I'm going to talk to you about the third element, wealthability, and that is tax-free wealth according to the way Tom Wheelwright does it. Now, the beautiful thing about Tom Wheelwright is this is a fellow who absolutely loves studying taxes and loves learning how to take advantage of the incentives that are in the tax code. He explained it brilliantly. He said there's about 30 pages of tax law that say you have to pay taxes, and if you make this much, here's how much you have to pay. The other thousands and thousands of pages are incentives that are meant to encourage people to participate in things that the government needs you to do. If they need you to build more real estate, they'll give you tax incentives. If they need you to work on solar more, they'll give you tax incentives. If they need you to help with natural gas, they'll give you tax incentives. And so his company has been designed around his love for understanding these incentives and how to leverage them to every one of his clients' best ability or best outcome, right? So when you're working with Tom Wheelwright or any of his trained CPAs, you know that they love doing this and they figure out all of the most creative ways to make sure that you don't have to pay any taxes at all. The whole point of their service is to prepare you before you come to the end of the year where you have to report your taxes, to build a strategy that you follow so that at the end of the year you have nothing left over and there's nothing to tax, and because of the corporation structure and because of the way you built it and because of the strategy and all the incentives you've taken advantage of, you don't have to pay any taxes at all. It's beautiful because The benefit is not only that you keep more of your money, but you're helping the government as a partner by giving them the things that they're asking for from local businesses. It's brilliant. And it's a really different way to look at taxes. Now, see, the only downfall is that most folks don't think to go look for someone like Tom Wheelwright. They don't think to look at the government taxes as incentives. They just want to be an employee or a self-employed and do what they want to do, and they don't want to think about it. They don't even learn about money. In fact, that is my personal opinion. That is the biggest reason that we're in this mess right now. Most of the country stopped saving, stopped creating emergency funds, and stopped trying to build residual incomes and streams of revenue. Instead of having multiple streams, they got one job and they spend every week they get a check, or every month they get a check. They spend all of it. And then they spend more. They get credit cards and spent more and more and more and more, because you have to keep up with your neighbor. You have to keep up with what's going on social media. You have to make it look like you got the Benjamins coming out, baby. Oh yeah, show them the money. No, you have to learn to budget yourself and control yourself until you develop the streams of revenue. But you also have to study how money and currency and finance actually works. So there you have it. 3 really powerful ways to begin working towards being able to live completely tax-free for the rest of your life. Now here's the best part. Each one of those 3 could work all by themselves, independently, and make it so that you live tax-free for the rest of your life. With the laser fund, once you get a laser fund big enough, you can live off the interest for the rest of your life tax-free and never pay taxes again. With the Cashflow Quadrant, you could build a business, or you could become an investor, never pay taxes again. If you start using Tom Wheelwright and he teaches you what to do, you could just use him and he'll teach you exactly what to do so that you never pay taxes again. But the best thing about this video is I'm giving you all 3 to pull together and use together to the greatest leveraging and the greatest power that you have available to you. Now, the question is, you know these 3 sources to go study and learn and apply to your own life. Are you going to do it? Or are you just going to sit around and say, oh, I didn't even make it to the end of this video. I don't even know that he said that does exactly what you need to do, or those are what you need to talk about. Now, if you did make it to the end of this video and you're watching me speak right now, you just raised yourself into the top 1% of the country. That means every time you hear people talking about, oh, the rich, the top 1%, they have all the money and they have all the power. We got to tax them. We got to take their money. It's not fair. You're now the 1%, because it isn't about how much money you have. It's about the tools and the information that you have available to you. So you know the secrets that the rich know now. You know exactly how they do it, how they acquire money, and how they keep it. So the question again, what are you going to do with that information? I hope that you go out and you apply it to your life, and then write in the comments and let me know exactly what happens. I hope that you found this video helpful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and definitely subscribe to the channel. We love all of our subscribers, and I want to give the best possible information to help you become the richest you. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you again soon.